Stop that. Now I'm going to have to edit this part out. As soon as I say, hey, it's time to go, that's when you... And then Bristol starts barking. I'm leaving this all in. Forget it. Hey, my dog's in the background, and I got to tell you again to go to sportsradiodetroit.com. Donate if you can. If not, at a bare minimum, you're already listening. Please leave us a review, a rating of any kind. Also on the Facebook page, and follow us on Twitter at @OB_DeadSports. Thank you very much, and enjoy the show.
Hey, this is Darren McCarty, 4-time Stanley Cup champion with the Detroit Red Wings. You're listening to Out of Bounds, Detroit Sports on sportsradiodetroit.com.
sportsradiodetroit.com.
We don't need TV to entertain us. He said anus.
You actually have to contribute.
Wow. You're welcome.
Just send a couple tweets, Dave.
You know what?
Get the job done.
You know what, guys? You're welcome for every guest ever.
Darren McCarty will be joining us to talk about, I don't know, what the fuck ever. If Mickey Redmond hadn't chosen hockey as his profession, he would undoubtedly be a lumberjack.
True. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Or he would have played one on TV.
I must have been bombed.
You were very bombed.
Because I don't remember that at all.
Was she a good sport about it? Did she enjoy your antics?
Yeah, she giggled a little bit.
Yeah, and she's a nice gal.
All right. The show's already started a little bit better than last Thursday did. How come nobody told me I was a little overmodulated in that last episode?
Well, with all of your troubles with your mic stand, we didn't have the heart to say anything.
Yeah, that probably would have hurt my feelings a little bit.
You were already very testy.
Welcome to Out of Bounds Detroit Sports. David Faze, Mike Tripp, and myself, Dan Griffin, invading your ear hole as always on Apple Podcasts and sportsradiodetroit.com. And you can go to sportsradiodetroit.com to check out all of the other fantastic content. Fanarchy, Mitten Sports, The Road Show, the various seasonal shows that we have, Tigers SRD, Lions SRD, whatever you need, we have got it all at sportsradiodetroit.com. So check out those other guys too.
Yeah,
give them a listen. They've done a lot for us. We've done a lot for them. It's a good mutual relationship. It's a symbiotic relationship that we have.
That's something.
Quite like the relationship that Antonio Cromartie has with his lovely bride.
I don't know if that one's as symbiotic.
We had to start with that because the last kid, we gave him so much shit. How can we not give him shit again? Allegedly, Antonio Cromartie, who is currently a free agent, correct?
I believe so.
I believe he's most recently played for the Indianapolis Colts and was only really good for a short stint with the Chargers and also with the Jets. This dude's on his 14th goddamn kid. And his third since a vasectomy.
I think it was his second since a vasectomy.
He had twins.
Okay.
He had twins after the vasectomy. So this dude's swimmers are the sperm version of Michael Phelps. You can't get... That's why I put in the Facebook post, don't let your woman within 20 yards of this man or 20 miles of this man unless she is covered in fucking saran wrap.
Hey, his sperm lived the motto of Ricky Bobby. That's all I can tell you.
If you ain't
first, you last. Yeah. Okay, all right.
It's just like one sneaks through. Little guy made it all the way to the end. Good for him. Good for that guy. I gotta tell you something though. I was reading this article from USA Today about Antonio Cromartie, and they went and they interviewed a urologist to explain how Antonio Cromartie is having kids even after having a vasectomy. And I figured, nothing has a 100% success rate when it comes to contraception, correct?
Sure.
But when I look at what you have to do after, I didn't realize you had to do this after having a vasectomy. Hang on, let me find it. Who is this guy? Charles Curtis reached out to urologist Dr. Ajay Nangia.
And who's Charles Curtis?
He's just a writer for the USA Today.
Okay.
He's just a writer. He doesn't matter.
I just didn't remember what you had as his title, so that's what I was asking.
He reached out to Dr. Ajay Nangia of the University of Kansas Health System and Dr. Jay Sanlow of the Medical College of Wisconsin. And it turns out that for 3 months after having a vasectomy, you are supposed to take birth control.
Seriously?
Now, yeah, I don't know if this is like if you're supposed to take lady birth control, like you're supposed to be ingesting those little wheels of Oxynovum or whatever the hell it is. But that freaks me out. I think that's what did it. I think either Antonio Cromartie got completely freaked out by the procedure and he just pretended that he had it, or he didn't want to take the birth control.
That would freak me out.
And after the birth control, you're supposed to go back to the urologist, and he's supposed to tell you whether or not you have a sperm count of 0. And apparently, Cromartie never made that follow-up visit.
Well, I'm not a medical professional, but I can tell you right now, his sperm count is not 0.
It wouldn't appear likely, would it?
No.
Where was the other thing I had?
Either that, or he's friends with a very powerful wizard. That's it.
This is just. I don't understand 14 kids. And especially like you can understand, right, the first accident after the vasectomy. Like, wow, I didn't expect that because I had a vasectomy and I shouldn't be having any more kids. Okay, I'll let you slide with that one.
But then you find out why and you fix it.
Or you start using rubbers again or something. Anything. Any sort of contraception. And you not only do you get your broad pregnant once with twins after a vasectomy, you get her pregnant a second time after. I don't know why I find this so funny. Probably because in 10 years I'm going to look at Antonio Cromartie and be like, is that homeless guy on the street Antonio Cromartie? Because he ain't going to have no money left. I don't think he was going to have any money left after 8 kids. Now he's working on doubling that up. I don't know if 14 is going to be enough for Antonio Cromartie, though.
No, you're probably right. He probably wants to have it be an even 16 and have 8 of them be with one woman and the other 8 splattered amongst a grouping of women.
Well, I was
because this is going to be number 6 with his current wife, right? How many different women does he have the kids with? The other ones, the other 8.
Hold on, I had this pulled up. Oh, this is what I had pulled up. I had the top 8 athletes with the most children in professional sports history. You guys ready for this? You guys want to try to guess these? Mike, don't look. I know you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
What do you think number 8 is?
Fuck, dude, I don't know. I don't know who has a bunch of kids. I don't have enough time to figure out who has a bunch of kids.
I saw who it was, and I'm definitely shocked.
It's Muhammad Ali. 9 children with 5 women.
Oh. No, that's not as crazy.
I'm not going to read the description on that one because it doesn't really move the needle for me. So I'll just move on to number 8.
Wasn't that? Oh, no, that was 9. My bad.
Willie Anderson. Or I'm sorry, this is number 7 because it's the top 8.
Oh, it's top 8. Okay.
Willie Anderson. 9 children with 7 women.
I don't even know who that is.
A guy that averaged 12, 4, and 4 in the NBA as a number 10 overall pick in 1988. In 2003, Anderson lost almost all of his 1.75 lost almost all of the 1.75 million he was about to receive from a deferred contract, as this cash was divided up amongst the IRS and 3 of the women whom he had to pay child support. What'd the rest of them get?
I don't know.
The judge
box of Wheaties.
The judge openly, he got his old Celtics jersey. The judge, which is worth nothing. The judge openly admitted there's just not enough money to go around. Number 6. Jason Caffey, who was at least fortunate enough to win 2 championships while playing with Michael Jordan. 10 children with 8 women. In 2009, a judge ordered for his arrest after he was accused of failing to pay over $200,000 in child support to just one of the 8 women, plus legal fees to her lawyer. Caffey must have been on top of the world after being drafted by the Bulls, but things would soon take a turn for the worse. What a dumbass. How do you allow this shit to happen? Welp? Who the hell wrote that? By the way, who ends an article with whelp? Or at least a slide. I guess it's not really an article. I'm sensing a theme here. Are you guys catching on? Dave's not even paying attention.
I don't care about people's kids.
Number 5, Travis Henry.
I knew he had a bunch.
11 kids with 10 women. He's since been in jail for.
That guy was playing. He was just doing plug and play.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
He's got a whole utility squad. He's got a whole utility squad of brats running around. This guy, whoever wrote this, actually referred to them as a small platoon. Henry's lawyer has estimated. Henry's lawyer has estimated that he has to pay at least $170,001 annually in child support. Why and $1?
Travis Henry needs one more kid. He can field an entire football team.
Yep.
Are there any real questions?
Number 4, Evander Holyfield. Jesus freak Evander Holyfield, 11 children with 6 women. He amassed $230 million in the ring. The majority of this is now gone due to gambling, 3 messy divorces, and payments for his collection of offspring. Let's not forget his hate for gay people, and also his affinity for the bottle.
His partial ear.
Well, that too. You know
Don't
what's
forget
really
his
funny?
partial ear.
I look back on that, right? We look back on the Tyson ear biting incident in 1997, right? We look back on that, and who was the bad guy back then? Mike Tyson was the bad guy.
Yeah.
Who's the bad guy now? By far, it's Evander Holyfield. Like, Mike Tyson is a likable dude. If you watch his one-man show, he's got his shit together, and Holyfield's bashing gay people and talking about how much he wants to have sex with Jesus' handholes, and yet Mike Tyson was the bad guy back in 1997.
Mike Tyson just wants to take care of his pigeons and
do his thing, man.
I mean, he's doing stuff.
Do his one-man show and get face tattoos, which I don't even hate anymore. It looked stupid at first, but now I think it kind of adds a little character. Number 3.
I'm sure he regrets it in hindsight, but
I don't know if he does. I really don't. Number 3, and I'm sensing another theme here. George Foreman. 12 children with 4 women.
9 of them named George.
Something like that.
Something.
But he's doing all right for himself. He embraces the role. He's got to be the one outlier of everybody on this list that's actually like still doing okay, even after having an army of children.
Well, because he made the smart decision and put his name on a product that sells like hotcakes. Yep.
Number 2, and this is from a couple of years ago, so it says 12 children with 8 women, but now we know that it is 14 children with 8 women.
He's number 2?
Antonio Cromartie. Oh, yes, he is number 2. Cromartie's outstanding child support payments were taken care of by the Jets in 2010, something that a lot of these athletes would be jealous of.
I don't even care who number 1 is. I'm laughing anyway. Doesn't matter.
You ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
Hall of Famer Calvin Murphy, the former Houston Rockets standout. Hall of Famer Calvin Murphy, 14 children with 9 women. So the same amount of children with 1 more woman than Antonio Cromartie. This Hall of Famer has a somewhat tarnished reputation due to allegations made in 2004 as Murphy was accused of sexually abusing 5 of his young daughters. I don't know if it doesn't say young, but 5 of his daughters, all of whom were born outside of his marriage. Now, I look at this and I go, he probably forgot. Like, when you have 14 kids, the chances of you finding a hot chick on the street and her accidentally being your daughter is it's substantially higher than what it is if you only have a couple. I just think he forgot. I think he just lost track. That's my story, and I'm
you just think it was a numbers game.
Yes, it was. It's just a total numbers game.
Wonderful.
The odds were just stacked against Calvin Murphy at that point.
I think, first of all, Antonio Cromartie, not only did he do it better because both his numbers are even, which is just much cleaner.
What the fuck is going on?
But you also don't hear. Yeah, it seems to any of us, any normal person, seems absolutely insane to have that many kids with even one person, let alone a bunch of people, and having to spread the money out. But at least it seems, from all accounts so far, Antonio Cromartie is doing right by these people, by his kids, by the women, and that's all you can ask for. If you're going to do it, you got to take care of them.
Well, I have to tell you this. I don't think any one woman would sit there and spit 14 brats out of her cooter. I don't think anybody would do that in today's time. Like, even if you look at old families that, like, your grandparents probably had like 14 brothers and sisters. That's an over-exaggeration. Probably 8. in that realm between 5 and 8. Nobody was ever getting up to 14. No mother was having 14 damn kids.
My mom is from a family, she's one of 6.
There's like way hotter chicks than me, but I'm hoping I'm a little bit more freaky than them.
Which was not at all an unheard of number for that time frame, but that was basically that was right at the borderline. Somewhere between 6 and 8 was about the most you were going to get. You know what I mean? Because I think you're right. I think once a woman hits the 6th or 7th pregnancy, they're like, I'm out. I ain't doing this anymore. I will not push another human child out of my vagina. I am over it.
I can't get over the birth control thing.
Dude,
I'm just picturing Antonio Cromartie popping pills out of one of those wheels.
Well, it just seems
Probably
unfortunate
snorting them off a mirror.
Because not only do you not have kids, and you start growing breasts, and that's not fun.
It just reminds me of Brockmire. You just snorted my abortion.
That's right.
Dave hasn't seen that episode yet.
I haven't seen hardly any of them.
We've been showing.
What's going to happen to me? Spotting.
I don't know from where. Dave hasn't seen a lot of it yet.
No, I've been slacking.
But
it started, and then I went on
scenes.
vacation, and then it just all went to shit.
My God, you throw like a blind baby waving bye-bye.
But what I will say about what Brockmire has done, and I think Mike kind of agrees with this as well, because I think Mike always hated Joe Buck a little bit more than I did, but I actually think I like Joe Buck now. Like, at first I hated him, then I heard him on Levitard a couple of times, and I was like, this guy's okay. And then I saw him on Brockmire, and I like, all right, his character is actually embracing the fact that America hates him, so now I actually think I love Joe Buck.
The way he plays himself is pretty fucking hilarious, and he can like make fun of himself, which is good to see.
Great to see you.
You too. I don't know who you are, but it's great to see.
Five times today.
Robbie Butler, give me a break. All right. Tim Kirchin, how are you? Good to see you. You good?
Hey!
Tim Kirchin. The alien Tim Kirchin.
What took you so long?
Joe Buck.
Sorry, I got held up finger blasting your mom.
My mom's dead.
Well, no wonder it took her so long to finish.
And then they start making out.
I just love when Brockmire dropped the line, I was finger blasting your mom. The look on Kirchin's face was like pure disgust. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and Mike very astutely pointed out when we watched this little clip before we started the show that if you didn't notice, and Dan, I know you kind of mimicked it there.
Yeah.
But that when, obviously the visual does a lot for people. If they want to see it, they can go watch it. But while Joe Buck is walking down this like line of people to get to Brockmire, there's the one dude in the background that just goes, "It's Joe Buck." Like he's like as if everyone in the room doesn't already realize it's Joe Buck and already like they're all colleagues and shit. And it's the guy, "It's Joe Buck."
But it's what it's doing is it's playing up to the celebrity of Joe Buck. And Joe Buck is just, it doesn't, I love that he makes fun of himself and he knows that people don't like him and he doesn't care. And I think that's respectable. I like that.
Wait a second with him, please.
Get up. You have to go just because he says so. Hi, Joe Buck.
Listen, did you lie to Robbie Butler and tell him that I wear non-prescription glasses to seem smart?
Joe Buck, it's nothing personal, all right? I just happen to hate your stupid face.
You were a groomsman at my wedding?
Look, Joe, it's not just that you became the biggest broadcaster in America. Actually, yes, it is. That's it.
Jesus.
How was I supposed to know I was going to plateau at age 24? Oh, come on. I guess what? Like, your grass probably isn't as green as I imagined, though, right?
No, life's pretty fantastic. And it's weird. I'm so famous right now that I pretty much just think about something and it appears.
Drink just shows up on the table.
Who is that?
Who was what?
Great. Thanks for coming by. Mission accomplished. I feel stupid and weak.
Life's pretty fantastic.
Actually, I'm like so famous right now. I just think of something and it appears. And his comeback is so condescending. Who was that? Who was what? Oh, that was pretty good.
How about them Tigers, Dave?
That's where we're going?
Yeah, I mean, Brockmeyer baseball is a good segue,
Yeah,
right?
Makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
That's a terrible fucking segue.
No, it's all right.
It's the show of awful segues.
But it wouldn't be Segue. The day we have a show full of like solid, legitimate, good segues is not a true out of bounds show.
I hate the world and I'm dead inside.
Our show doesn't work without a little stupidity. That's the problem. If we went through a show with total class, it wouldn't be our show.
We did once when we had Ryan on the show, but I think there were even still.
Did we have one of total class?
Yeah, there was still some. There was still a smattering of degeneracy. Is that a word?
Yeah, I think so.
It is now.
His segment was pretty classy, but I don't know if the rest of the show was or not.
Way to go, a-hole!
I'd have to go back and listen to it. Anyway, what do you want to know? What's your question?
Well, here's the thing. I'm looking at this road trip, right? And the Tigers go 4-5 on this road trip.
Right.
On a road trip that they should have gone a minimum 6-3, in my opinion. I'll give you 5-4.
West Coast sucks. It always does.
Absolute minimum. You should have come back with a winning record from this road trip with the debacle of K-Rod in Oakland twice. But what Brad Ausmus has done is something that everybody wants to see, and that is the fact that Justin Wilson has replaced K-Rod.
My God, you throw like a blind baby waving bye-bye.
Absolutely, and that is why K-Rod has been replaced, and Justin Wilson has been what we'd hoped since taking his spot, right? So everything should be all right in Tiger Town.
He's had one true close situation, and he nailed it.
Yeah, locked it down with 3 straight strikeouts.
Yeah.
So we'll take it. All right, you're right. It's one game. I'm glad you brought that up. However, you're coming home from this road trip. You're 500. You're 4-4 coming off of this road trip. You've changed your closer. And I'm sitting here not feeling any more confident than I was before they went on this road trip. And I have a few reasons why. One is the fact that you have Victor Martinez hitting 270. And it's not that Victor Martinez is hitting 270 that I have an issue with. I mean, I have an issue with that, but that's not really what my concern is. My concern is the fact that he's still hitting in the middle of the order. And my other concern is the fact that even when he's hitting 270, he's still the best option at DH on this team. So even if a scenario were to arise where you could replace Victor Martinez, we realize that's impossible, given what he makes and given the fact that he literally can't do anything else on the field. But even if this situation were possible, you still couldn't do it because he'd still be the best DH on the roster. That's terrifying. Couple that with the fact...
See, I don't agree with that.
Okay, well, I'll let you go in a second.
I think the best DH on the roster is playing first base, but that's just me.
Right, but then but Miggy's also the best first baseman on the roster. What I mean is Victor would be right now.
I don't know about that. You can put Alex Avila in there every day at first base, and he'd be fine.
Now you're being ridiculous.
No, I'm not. I'm really not.
Now because then you're still going to have the same situation you have with Victor at DH. You're going to have a guy hitting super.
But no, you're not. Cabrera is going to be Cabrera. He'll be fine. He's not giving me anywhere near the same type of worry as Victor, and you're not gonna hit Avila in the top of the order like that. You're gonna keep, even if Avila is your everyday first baseman, he's still gonna bat 7th, 6th, 7th, or 8th, somewhere in that range, and he gets on base.
But the thing with Alex Avila,
he can actually run a little bit.
The reason Alex Avila is working is because he's platooning.
Well, that's why his numbers are really, really good.
And that's the type of player he is. I think if you make Avila an everyday player right here, right now, I would be shocked if he hits a whole ton higher than the 270 that
But the difference
Victor
is he
hitting.
provides you more. He provides you more than Victor. Victor can only hit, and if he's not hitting, he provides you absolutely nothing. That's the difference.
But essentially what you're doing is if you're taking Alex Avila and you're putting him at first base every day, and you're making Miguel Cabrera...
You're unclogging the middle of your lineup. That's what you're doing.
Well, I won't disagree with that, but what you're doing is you're replacing a rotten apple with another rotten apple in the lineup. The difference is that Brad Ausmus would be a lot more willing to move Alex Avila down in the lineup, as you've stated, than for some reason he is with Victor Martinez. I don't think Victor should be hitting any higher than 7 right now. I don't care if DH or not. I don't care.
I'm sorry to say. Actually, no, I'm not sorry to say. I think unequivocally this team, and I'm not trying to sit here and say that. Hold on.
Bless you.
Thank you. I'm not trying to say that Alex Avila would be some sort of lineup savior. That's not at all what I'm trying to say. That's not the point I'm trying to make.
I wasn't accusing you of saying that,
But,
Dave. Don't put words in my mouth.
I'm just trying to make
How
sure
dare you?
everybody else that listens doesn't think that. You jerks!
Are you calling our listeners stupid? Is that what you just did? How dare you?
It's not really. Okay, you know what? I'm just moving past this. So, yeah, it's not like I'm saying that Alex Avila is some sort of savior for the lineup. But what I will tell you unequivocally,
Yeah, all right, I'll see you guys there.
is that Alex Avila in this lineup over V-Mart would make this lineup far more dynamic. And I think that wholeheartedly. And the major part is that Victor Martinez, even when he gets on base, unless, the guys behind him being, Upton and JD Martinez now, unless those guys are hitting bombs, and thankfully the last couple games, both those guys have been hitting some bombs. But if they're not doing that, all he does is clog the base paths.
Now, JD, once again, is the lone shot of testosterone in the ass cheek of this team.
And he might not even be here the full season.
Who knows?
We'll see what happens.
I mean, how many games has he been back now? Is it just the one?
3.
3? I don't know. I haven't been able to watch every game.
I haven't watched them all. I just know that he's been back 3.
Well, good for you. You're doing a little bit better than I am.
Well, okay.
But he's been the shot of testosterone in the ass cheek that this team, if they're going to stay afloat, they're going to need. The only thing that's the saving grace for the Tigers right now, other than the fact that JD is back in the lineup and hopefully going to continue to hit a bomb or two every other. Excuse me. Ooh, that was a beer burp.
All right.
Ooh, that was wet. Every other day. Pick that one right up where I left off. Is the fact that Cleveland can't hit a beach ball in the gazebo either right now. I mean, don't look now, but the Minnesota Twins are in first place in mid-May.
Yeah, it's not going to happen for the whole season. But the other thing is...
But didn't we say that about Cleveland as well?
The bullpen...
Not long ago.
Yeah, but Cleveland is a more dynamic baseball
But
team.
here's what Minnesota is doing that makes me a little bit nervous. Now, I tend to agree with you, Dave. I tend to agree with you that they're going to fall off.
They don't have the numbers.
They're 11-5 on the road. They're beating teams up on the road. And they're only 8-10 at home. When you're winning baseball games at that kind of, it's not going to stay that way.
You know what I'd like to do though, and I don't have it pulled up in front of me. I guess I could.
I'm just not ready to shit on the Twins just yet.
I'm not shitting on the Twins. I'm not saying that the Twins are a shitty team that's going to wind up being, a basement feeder the rest of the way. That's not what I'm saying. I just think that's water. Again, the old adage, water's going to find its level. I believe that wholeheartedly, and I don't think they're going to be that team all year because I don't think they have the pitching. The pitching depth is just not. It's not a strength of theirs.
But I still think 83 to 86 wins could win you this division.
I don't think they're going to get there.
You don't think they're? I tend to agree with you. But sitting here in mid-May, I did not see them sitting at 19 and 15.
I will make a judgment, and I say this for any team. I say this about the Tigers too. I will make a judgment on what the Tigers are, and what the Twins are, and what the Royals and the Indians and everybody, what all the teams are, somewhere closer to the end of June. That's going to be my marker because that's a little bit shy of the halfway mark. But you start approaching All-Star break. You start approaching, is it what right at the end of July or very beginning of August is the trade deadline usually, right? I don't know what the exact date is this year, but that's generally speaking when it is. So that's the time frame in which I will start really deciding whether I think a team's for real or not. And if Minnesota is still doing what they're doing at that point in time, mid to end of June, then I might change my tune and say, okay, now I believe that, because like I said, the big thing for me is that I don't believe in their pitching depth. But if their pitching holds up and continues to put up decent numbers like they are right now, then I will say I think that the Twins, from a lineup standpoint, can hang. I don't think that the offense is going to be a huge issue for them. I think Miguel Sano is a great power hitter. I love Brian Dozier. Brian Dozier, I mean, there's a reason his name was bandied about for several teams in the offseason because he's a player that a lot of teams would love to have on their roster. And I think they've got some young, athletic, guys that basically they're the opposite, pretty much the opposite of the Tigers right now. You got basically one true basher in Sano. You got Dozier, who obviously, as we saw last year, can hit some homers, but you wouldn't look at him as a basher. He's kind of an Ian Kinsler type, right? Where he has some years where he's got a ton of home runs, other years he's got 18 to 20, which is still a nice number, but it's not going to blow your socks off.
Sure.
And they have a lot of guys that pepper the baseball around. And in today's game, that can win you a lot of baseball games, the small ball, right? And that's something the Tigers can't do with the lineup they have. If the Tigers, we've said this for years now, the Tigers, the way they've been constructed basically since they started this string of World Series type contention back in starting back in 06 through basically these last 10 years where they've been a really good baseball team for the most part. They have had a ton of bashers and not a bunch of guys that are going to get on base and make a lot of havoc on the base paths. So that's why I think they struggle a lot in one-run games because you're in tight games because you are relying so heavily on you're not manufacturing runs. You're either hitting out of the ballpark or you're losing games.
And I think that's what scares me about the Twins. You make a good point about their pitching, and ultimately, subpar, mediocre pitching is typically going to be a team's downfall at some point in the year. But the way the Twins are scoring runs, I don't know. I think it's scary, especially in this division. This is not a good division. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Twins are a good baseball team. But I don't think any team in this division is complete.
No, I don't know if there's a team in baseball that's totally complete. I mean, you look. Let's put it this way. I think early in the offseason, right, you look at the moves that the Red Sox made, right? And you went, oh, man, the Red Sox are going to be great this year because one of their big weaknesses last year for a team that was very, very good was some starting pitching depth. And they obviously you have David Price again this year. You go and get Chris Sale. You got this dynamic rotation with the last year's Cy Young winner with Rick Porcello. And then what happens? David Price gets hurt. He's not playing yet. Rick Porcello has totally fallen back to old school Rick Porcello, and his numbers are not good. Chris Sale's the only thing you have, and the other couple of fringe starters like Drew Pomeranz, he's injured now. So now all of a sudden, the thing you absolutely need to win you games down the stretch of the year is your pitching depth, and they don't have it. So their lineup's great, but they're just going to give up. They're going to get leads, and they're going to give them right up because they have no pitching to hold the lead.
I think the only team right now, and it's strange to say, but I think the only team right now in the American League that's like really terrifying, it's the Houston Astros. The way that
Astros are really good, and I'm going to tell you right now, I like the Yankees.
Yeah,
I like what the Yankees have.
It's tough not to like the Yankees.
I like what they have. They have such a nice. They're starting to really truly begin a new Yankees era because they have they still have some veterans.
Well, they've done
that are good. But
they've done what theTigers have needed to do.
Yeah.
They were that team that went out and were the Tigers times two, just spending, trying to throw money at free agents to try and buy a world championship, which they were able to do in 2009, 2010. I can't remember which year they won it.
Oh, yeah.
The one
I think it was 10.
The one year where A-Rod contributed in the playoffs, and unfortunately, the Tigers never got that title. So, but there are remarkable similarities there, and Al Avila should look at that team and consider doing something extremely similar.
And I want to say this, and I want to give him all the credit in the world and give him credit where it's due. And that is that Brian Cashman is clearly not baseball's version of Ken Holland. Brian Cashman ran a team that for years was able to buy every championship they wanted because they were able to spend and buy every player. And you know what? If you can, you fucking do it. It's not. I don't blame him at all for doing it that way because that was the way it was.
Baseball's different because you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Your salary cap doesn't exist, so you can do whatever you want. But now that new ownership has, well, not new ownership, but the son, Hal Steinbrenner has, chosen to pull back the reins a little bit. They're still spending money. I'm not saying that there's some sort of bargain basement payroll, but they're still spending some money, but not to the extent they used to. And Cashman and his scouting staff and his front office personnel have done a fantastic job of identifying players. They've drafted well. They've signed some cheaper free agents, and then you still are able to supplement by going and getting a savvy veteran, like going and getting Matt Holliday, right? Who looks really good with the Yankees, as you might expect. He's been a good player for a long time, and he's at the end of his career. But guys like that can produce in New York. They always do. And so you look at what they have. They got quite a few young players. They're going to be stars for them for a long time. And it's just a really nice mix, and I give him a ton of credit because he's done a great job rebuilding that team a lot faster than I thought that would happen.
Take notes, Al Avila.
Yeah, and I will say this. There's been some rumors going around, and it's not necessarily completely to the contrary of what we had already heard, but there's been some rumors going around that Avila and his personnel staff have already approached Chris Ilitch with some potential ideas to try to bolster the bullpen, some guys that are out there, and that Chris Ilitch is very, very against adding any type of payroll at all at this point in time, regardless of how much it might help the roster. So I think we're looking at a very different era for the Tigers here moving forward, unless they get sold, and we'll see what happens.
Swallow the pill. Take your medicine and make following the Yankees' footsteps. Seriously, you did it once and it didn't work. Do the same thing they're doing again.
But you also are seeing one thing you have to do well is you have to draft well, because that's how it's going to start.
Oh, of course.
That's where it's going to start.
And that was the big issue with Dombrowski.
And I do think that the scouting staff for Avila and this current incarnation of the Tigers is better, but we won't know 100% for about 3 or 4 years at least how good some of the guys they've drafted in the last 2 years are going to be. I mean, we know they identified some talent in Fulmer and Norris and those guys when those deals were made, but in terms of their draftability, it's a wait-and-see type of deal.
We've got to take a break. What do we have ahead of us? We got to get to our out-of-the-box hottie of the week. Well, we got to talk about Kawhi Leonard's ankle. And Greg Popovich's comments. I'm curious to get your opinion on Greg Popovich's comments, Dave. Have you heard them?
Popovich, I have not.
I will play them for you in the break, and we will get your opinion from them. Also, Barron Trump. Oh, yes. Sports-related news on Barron Trump. You will not want to miss this. Or maybe you will. I don't care. Out of Bounds Detroit Sports, David Faze, Mike Tripp, myself, Dan Griffin, SportsRadioDetroit.com. Don't go away.
Carew and Gaylord Perry, Seaver, Garvey, Schmidt, and Vida Blue. If Cooperstown is calling, it's no fluke. They'll be with Willie, Mickey, and the Duke. Mickey and the Duke. Say hey, say hey, say hey. It was Willie, Mickey and the Duke. Say hey, say hey, say hey. I'm talking Willie, Mickey and the Duke. Say hey, say hey, say hey.
I haven't. I've always seen her at night.
Oh, so that's how you got a second date. You're gonna be her night crawler. Hey, you're gonna be up here. No, you're gonna be the equivalent of she only lets you in and out at night. Instead of a Batman spotlight, it's just like a golf shirt. Jason's like, I'm on my way. It's man boobs. I'm on my way. It's man boobs. Moves, man. I do have to qualify. The pink Hambino. I'm sorry. I'm going with that forever. The pink Hambino.
Fanarchy, Saturday nights from 6 to 8 on CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. Don't forget to check out the podcast here on SportsRadioDetroit.com.
And also, too, we react on her because she had a second job working at Bob Evans. So people would see her on Sunday mornings working at Bob Evans.
You're a dick.
I was a dick. No. And in seventh grade, I got busted for bringing a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition.
That's the worst age to be a teacher because people are going through puberty.
Yeah.
You got all this rage that they don't even know
Yeah,
about.
not at all. Either
Kids
before
are,
or after.
Humping
That's
their
it.
desk because they just got their first part on. You know what I mean? That's like a bad age.
It is.
My goodness. SRD Roadshow every Saturday from 10 to noon on CRBRadio.com and catch the podcast SportsRadioDetroit.com.
Hey guys, it's Jeremy from Mitten Sports Talk. Don't forget to catch Eric, Roger, and I every Sunday from 10 to noon on Sports Radio Detroit and CRBRadio.com. And if you happen to miss the show, you can find all of our shows on SoundCloud, Podbean, and the iTunes podcast app.
We're pretty much ready to go here with this podcast.
The hell is a podcast?
Taking me a while to gather myself. It smells like open dog ass in here right now. You guys smell that?
I honestly don't.
Bristol walked in here, opened her butthole, and then just left. Just walked away. God, there's nothing worse than dog fart. Other than the fact that I'm pretty sure during the first segment, Dave's mom tuned in while Brockmeyer was talking about finger blasting Joe Buck's mom. I saw it, Dave.
I wonder if I should ask her.
Yeah, I wonder. You should ask her.
I'm not really sure how to bridge that topic, though.
Mom, when exactly did you tune into the Facebook Live
Should I just
feed?
go, Mom, did you hear the finger blasting part?
Happy Mother's Day, Mrs. Faze.
Did she leave a comment or something?
No,
he just saw that she tuned in. I didn't see it.
Okay.
You can see who is. I'm messed up from that dog fart. That dog fart was a disaster. Mike, you did point out to me, though, that Girls, Girls, Girls came out on this day 30 years ago.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
I know, I'm old.
Well, I mean, Bret Michaels looks every bit of it. Or Tommy Lee looks every bit of it. I'm sorry.
Well,
I was going to say...
All those hair bands run together for me.
They both do.
All those hair bands run together for me. I can't do it.
No, if anybody looking old in Motley Crue, it's Mick Mars. Like, he looks really...
There has to be, but there also has to be a Def Leppard song that came out 30 years ago, close to this date.
I will, the Mike Tripp research department.
Why are you talking about Def Leppard?
Just to tie in the Bret Michaels deal.
You mean Poison?
Jesus Christ.
That's exactly why I asked. I'm like, what's he doing?
I fucking hate hair metal. What do you want from me? God, they're all the same.
I'm actually a Def Leppard fan, so that hurts.
Like, well, here's the thing. If you listen to any hair metal song, try to tell me if you were 6 beers deep that it wouldn't sound like the next one you'd listen to and that you would think it was the same band.
No, because I would know the difference. That's the thing.
All right, you guys know your hair metal. That's good for you guys.
Let's see.
You know what it is? I know Def Leppard, so I would know if it wasn't Def Leppard. I wouldn't necessarily tell you exactly who it was, but I would tell you that it's not Def Leppard.
All right. Here are the top rock songs of 1987.
I can't wait to hear this list.
Whitesnake, Here I Go Again.
All right.
Okay.
Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. Poison, Talk Dirty to Me. Aerosmith, Dude Looks Like a Lady. Motley Crue, Girls, Girls, Girls. Grateful Dead, Touch of Grey. Los Lobos, La Bamba.
That's on this list? Yes. For God's sakes.
U2's With or Without You.
Okay.
I don't know how that's a rock song. Billy Idol.
Oh, my God.
Billy Idol, Moni Moni. And the Georgia Satellites, Keep Your Hands to Yourself. Those were the top rock songs.
I thought that was a Selena Gomez song.
Yeah, don't tell me no lines, bitch. Oh my God.
Oh, another good song that came out in 87, Europe's The Final Countdown.
This is one of the top rock songs of 1987.
Of 87, yep.
That's what gives me the issue with 80s rock and roll. What actually applies as rock? Like, that is how starved the 80s was for good rock and roll. That this fucking fits. This is why all the hair metal bands run together for me. They all run together.
Dude, I mean, this list of more top rock songs of 87, Europe, Genesis, Land of Confusion, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Bon Jovi, Wanted Dead or Alive came out in 87. Paul Simon's You Can Call Me Al. That's listed under rock songs.
Again. I mean, and I'm a Paul Simon guy. I like Paul Simon.
Oh, Def Leppard in here. We got Animal.
That's a good song. Animal's a good one.
That was so insincere.
See.
No, it wasn't.
It's
not one of the top. I'm just saying it's a good song.
That was what was more insincere? What Dave just said about that song, or my dramatic reading of Mitch albums afterward?
Which was more insincere?
You're a real asshole for coupling those things in together.
Your reading of his poem.
That hurts.
You two, Where the Streets Have No Name. White Snake Is This Love. Jeez.
Sounds like a disaster of a year for music.
Yeah.
All makes me want to hurt myself. Thank God grunge came along and saved it all.
We got Kiss on
Just
this
a few
list.
years later.
Yeah, it's a pretty banged up list.
It's pretty weak.
Yeah, it's pretty weak.
See, now you know. Now you know why they all run together for me. It's okay. I don't feel upset because Dave kind of gave me shit for not knowing my hair metal, but then I'm sitting here going, I don't know my hair metal. Who gives a shit?
Here, I'll throw out a few more lists. We got the 87 top pop hits.
Oh, this should be good.
Top albums, top ballads.
How many of these are Madonna?
All right, let's see. Let's go to top pop hits of 87. U2 With or Without You, and that was also listed under the rock.
Did Paul Simon also make this list?
You can't double dip.
Billy Idol,
whose
which
list
was
is
in
this?
rock, is also listed under Moni Moni for pop songs. Ooh, George Michael Faith came out in 87.
Good song. Who? Like seriously, whose list is this?
By Alex Cosper.
Fuck you, Alex Cosper.
Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer again. George Michael, I Want Your Sex.
You can't double dip half of the songs.
Ooh,
We
Boy
got
George Michael.
We got Janet Jackson, Nasty. Beastie Boys, Fight for Your Right to Party came out in 87.
That made pop.
That's under
that
the
made pop and didn't make rock. I would. I mean, it's really hip hop, but I would put it closer to rock than pop by far. Would you not?
I would.
I hate these lists.
Madonna made it, but under the more top. But it wasn't a top pop. Yeah, they list this under pop and rock.
God. The things that make me glad I was a 90s kid.
And there you have the top rock songs and the top pop songs of 1987.
God damn. What an awful year. Glad I was born the next year. I don't want to know. Don't tell me. I don't want to know what they were. Wait, didn't we go over like what the songs of our birth years were once on the show?
Yeah, I had what was it? David Bowie.
I can't remember what the fuck mine was.
Ground control to Major Tom. That's what I want my song to be, but it's not. So
that's what you were hoping it would be?
I was hoping it would be something like that, something good.
Speaking of lists, I found this list of the worst Detroit suburbs. And this is supposedly based on variables such as unemployment, median income, home value, and high school dropout rate. And I have to tell you, I don't agree with a lot of this list. It's just there are a couple of towns on here that should be on here that aren't, and there's certainly one that's at the top of the list that I don't think is anywhere near the top of the list. We have number 15, Melvindale. Number 14, Lincoln Park. Number 13, Hazel Park. It's okay so far. I can deal with those towns.
In the end, it doesn't really matter.
Why?
That was a Lincoln Park joke.
Oh, God damn it!
I missed it by one city, though. I didn't jump the gun quick enough, and I missed it by one city, so it doesn't quite have the same uxba, but, whatever.
Dan, what's your birthday again?
88, November 4.
Well...
What was it? What was the song?
Technically, give me the November 5, because that's technically...
If you go to November 5th, It's Kokomo by the Beach Boys.
That's what it was.
If you go the week between October 29th and November 5th, it's A Groovy Kind of Love by Phil Collins.
I'm taking Kokomo.
I would go with Kokomo. Look up mine too, Mike. I'm 89.
89?
July of 89.
Number 12 is Roseville. Number 11, Romulus. 10, Hamtramck. 9, Carlton. 8, Mount Clemens. 7, Inkster. 6, E-Course. 5, Wayne. 4 is Taylor, which I think should be a little higher on the list if I do say so myself. 3, River Rouge. 2, Highland Park. And this is where I have an issue. Number 1 is Pontiac.
I mean, Pontiac's pretty shitty, so.
But Pontiac has some semblance of a downtown.
Yeah.
It has some sort of economic flow through it.
And there is a lot of business coming back to
So
Pontiac.
you're more upset with the semantics of the list than them naming it's that Pontiac is too big to be listed as number 1, basically.
Or
it's
is
not
it,
a suburb?
I don't know. No, it's definitely a suburb. But why? There are definitely towns on this list and towns that aren't on this list that I think are a hell of a lot worse than Pontiac.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't get it. I got to tell you, I don't understand. And I'm sorry, Roger, but how in the fuck is Dearborn Heights not on this list anywhere?
And I got to tell you this.
I don't know how it's not.
I'll take your birth year, birth week song over mine any day of the week.
What's your birthday again?
I'm right here.
He is Good Thing by Fine Young Cannibals.
I mean, that's just a stupid name for a band to start with, by the way.
I mean, isn't that what we're looking at for most bands right around that time? I mean, the Beach Boys is pretty good for a band name. And then that's... Dave's birth song. You were this. Your mom was actually listening to this song as she was shoving you out. I can get down to this.
Yeah, it's the same 3 dance moves the whole time because the song doesn't change
at all. Hold on, let's see where it breaks down. Yeah, mine's better. It's already better.
I follow right in between 2 really good songs. A few days before my birthday, it's Beat It by Michael Jackson. And then 2 days after, it's Let's Dance, David Bowie.
Solid.
So
Wait, what was the first one?
Beat It.
Beat It, Michael Jackson.
So you could just say that it's Beat Dance.
Yeah, I could say.
Or Let's It. Or Let's Beat It.
Which sounds like a really weird sexual favor there to ask of somebody.
Especially when we're listening to this stupid song.
Could you go...
Let's beat it down to Kokomo.
Yeah, you could.
What was Dave's?
His was that Fine Young Cannibals. The song that the first song.
Good Thing.
Good
is the name of the song.
Let's beat it. It's a good thing. Down to Kokomo.
You know, it's a good thing if we beat it down to Kokomo. and then let's dance.
Nobody is listening to this show anymore.
No.
It's officially over. Thank you for listening. God, if you've tuned in this far, Jesus
We're starting segment 2 on a light note.
That's right. We do have to do our out of the box hottie. Should we get to that?
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll let Mike choose.
I heard you guys discuss it during the break when I was I was on the potty. So I don't even know. I'm just gonna learn along with the people.
All right.
Maybe you should get a bikini wax. I'm out of the box. Get back of the box.
Go look at the fun bags on that hose hound.
Time for our weekly out of the box hottie. Mike, who do we have?
Now, you and I were having a little debate on who we should use, and you know what? I'm going to go with my suggestion. Sasha Alexander, who plays Professor Helene Helene Runyon in Shameless.
Because you're just getting caught up in Shameless.
Dude, I'm just crushing that season. Like, I'm in season 6 now. It's a fantastic show. And now that I started watching it in season 6.
Do you know why? Do you now know why Emmy Rossum is my celebrity wife?
Oh, absolutely. Dude, she's just gorgeous.
Even as even the trailer trash that she plays in that show, she is astonishingly beautiful.
Yes. Oh, and it's almost sad how she just goes from guy to guy to guy to guy to guy.
I'll be next on the list. Am I allowed to raise my hand in the middle of class for that one?
Do it. Audition. See if you can shack up with her.
Yeah, I don't think I'm built well enough for that.
Invite her to a Mike Tripp's key party.
Yeah, but no. I'm not going to do that. Who is it again? Who'd you say? Oh, the chick that Lip was banging.
Yes. And I'm still perplexed as to how she has the husband. Lips banging her. And then there was a scene where Lip and Sasha are in bed, and next thing you know, her husband's just sitting in the corner, just watching it as it's going.
He wasn't even pounding off.
No, he wasn't. He's just sitting there.
He was just keeping it in his memory for the spank bank.
And she just goes, "Oh, he's just waiting for us to finish up. Then he's going to come to bed." I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, guys.
If I was in Lip's position, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm out of here."
No, I got to tell you something. I got to find me a broad like that. I got to find me a chick that's married and her husband, an older chick that's married, and her husband doesn't give a fuck about anything. Because I'll just go over there, I'll get mine, I'll shake his hand and say thank you, maybe buy him a beer.
Well, it's weird because then
she
brings Lip to some party, and next thing you know, the husband shows up. "Oh, I weren't aware you were coming." "Oh yeah, she brought me." "Is that my tie?" He just segued to that.
But he didn't care about he cared more about the tie than he did about this 19-year-old kid banging his wife. That's what I need. I want to have sex with a woman multiple times that is twice my age, that has a husband that would care more about his ties than he does about me plugging his wife. That's what I need. So ladies, if you're out there, there's none of those people are listening.
And I just watching her when they brought her into the show, and it's like, she's a fucking out of the box hottie.
That's a good call. Man, that's a good call. What the hell? Oh.
I don't know. What's going on over
I may be old-fashioned, but the man says wear your boner pants. I wear my boner pants.
Oh, I would be wearing my boner pants around her all day.
Sweatpants?
Oh, yeah.
What's her name again?
Sasha Alexander.
Sasha Alexander! Our out-of-the-box hottie of the week. Hopefully Jeff can find some sexy pictures. Watch him get the wrong Sasha Alexander. I bet you there's more than one.
Well, I'm sure there's
But
more.
is there a woman her age named Sasha? Like, doesn't she look awfully old to have the name Sasha?
Yes.
Like, I think Sasha, like somewhere between the ages of 19 and 27.
Well, she was that at some point in her life.
Sure. It's like somebody naming their newborn Mary. Who does that? That's an old lady's name. Or Jeanette. That was my grandma's name. I've never met anybody named Jeanette that wasn't at least 100 years old.
It's valid point.
They're just not out there.
There's not a lot of young Jeanettes
or Marys.
Not a lot of young Helens.
Young Helen. Do I know young Helen? Nope, I don't.
There's not even a lot of young Ellens that I'm aware of. There's a couple, but not very many.
Well, there's Ellen Page.
Yep. What's the other one?
There isn't another one.
No.
I mean, how old is the most famous Ellen?
50? She's in her 50s.
50-something?
Yeah. She's in her 50s.
All right, we got to move on. Should we do the Kawhi Leonard thing first? I got to turn... How the hell did this TV get turned off?
I have no idea.
That's this damn computer. Turn on! We'll just do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Just mid-show. I was really looking forward to this Kawhi Leonard thing. And then the TV turned off. Oh, and then we're looking at Joe Buck's face again. The guy that apparently finger blasted Dave's mom.
I don't think I'm okay with that.
I wouldn't be okay with that either. I wouldn't be okay with if he did that to my mom or your mom or Mike's mom or any of my friends' moms.
I do not feel good about it.
Did you see the clip of Zaza, or as Greg Popovich said, Zaza?
No, because I do a sports
foul.
podcast without watching any sports. So
Hey, I don't know if you're watching Spurs Warriors.
I mean, I didn't watch the game, but I saw the clip.
I do want you to take another look at it again because I don't know what your opinion was about whether or not this was a dirty play. I don't want to know until after you see it again. So let's have a look at it.
Leonard fires from the corner.
No, wait, you can't see it from that fucking angle. Come on.
Can you blow the screen up?
Again in front of the Spurs bench.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, there you go.
Will Sevening, the long-time athletic trainer for the Spurs.
I saw how Popovich called him Zaza.
Of that call on the big screen. And Leonard gingerly getting up.
Here it is.
Again, that's what they call all the time when you get your feet into the landing space of the shooter.
Now, I didn't like that angle either because that angle was from the baseline. Right here. This is the one I like. Does that appear to you to be a dirty foul?
No.
Because he lands in the call is that Zaza, now I'm calling him Zaza Pachulia lands in the...
Zaza Gabor? Is that?
Yes. Goes to contest the shot of Kawhi Leonard, a shot of which he was never going to block. But he went to contest the shot, and his foot goes down in Kawhi Leonard's landing spot.
Right.
Now, that is a foul.
Correct.
That's always been a foul. But I think Greg Popovich, to a degree, embarrassed himself with his reaction. And I like Pop. I think he's the best coach in the NBA by far. And normally, I love the things that he has to say. I love the way he treats the media. But Greg Popovich, I think, went a little bit overboard when explaining his feelings
a little bit
for this foul.
I would guess he'll be out.
Shitty audio.
Pop, how much more difficult is it without him, obviously, against a team like
Come
Golden
on,
State,
man.
as opposed to
how much more difficult is it?
I mean,
how would it be if Curry didn't play? How much more difficult would that be? I'm not a happy camper, but that's a silly question. A two-step lead with your foot closeout is not appropriate. It's dangerous. It's unsportsmanlike. It's just not what anybody does to anybody else. And this particular individual has a history with that kind of action. You can go back and look in Dallas games where he got a flagrant 2 for elbowing Patty Mills.
Not the same thing, Pop.
The play where he took Kawhi down and locked his arm in Dallas.
Not the same thing.
And could have broken his arm. Ask David West, his current teammate, how things went when Zaza was playing for Dallas and he and David got into it. And then think about the history he's had and what that means to a team, what happened last night. A totally unnatural closeout that the league has outlawed years ago and pays great attention to it. And Kawhi's not there. And you want to know how we feel about it. You want to know if that lessens our chances or not. We're playing very possibly the best team in the league. You know, we don't know what's going to happen in the East. And 9.75 people out of 10 would figure the Warriors will beat the Spurs. Well, we've had a pretty damn good season. We've played fairly well in the playoffs. I think we're...
I'm going to stop for a second. Because the issue that I have with what Greg Popovich is saying is that he calls it an unnatural closeout. Now, Pachulia put his foot down in the spot where Kawhi Leonard was supposed to land. Okay, that's why he was called for the foul, and that's fine. He should have been called for the foul. And Kawhi Leonard has subsequently been eliminated from this playoff series. He's injured his ankle now for, I think, the third time this year alone. Definitely the second time this year alone. It doesn't look like he's going to come back. Okay, so yeah, I understand why Greg Popovich is pissed that his stallion is not going to be available against easily, if not the best team in the NBA, one of the two best teams in the NBA. But the issue that I have is where Greg Popovich sits there and he acts like Pachulia wasn't supposed to close out at all. Because that's why I wanted you guys to see the angle, not from the close baseline, but from the other side. Because the way that it looks to me is that ultimately Pachulia lands in Kawhi Leonard's landing spot. But it certainly doesn't look like Zaza Pachulia is intentionally sticking his foot in that spot. Because Kawhi Leonard kind of fades to his left. And what it looks like Pachulia is trying to do is get his hand in his face and move to what would be Pachulia's right or Kawhi's left. Yeah. And they just happen to land in the same spot. That's the way it looks to me.
I get what Pop is saying about his comment about the unnatural close. I get it because he's saying that basically that Pachulia made a concerted effort to get closer to the spot where Kawhi was winding up. But the whole point of that, and that might be the case, but that's honestly an act of good defense. Zaza, and you see it in the clip, he does readjust where he is, but that's because, like you said, Dan, Kawhi is fading away, and so Zaza is trying to get as close as he can to the shot and to get in the face of Kawhi to make the shot more difficult. It wasn't a matter of it wasn't like it wasn't like in hockey where you see a guy actively throw a leg out to another guy as he's skating by,
or a slew foot behind the net.
Or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. It was just it was a readjustment of his positioning as a defender, and it just completely by chance wound up that Kawhi came down directly on his foot. And that's look, how many times do we see a guy go up for a rebound? You got three guys in the same space. Guy goes up for a rebound. There's nothing malicious about it. Nobody would ever say there is. Guy goes up for a rebound, comes down. He happens to come down in an area where there's two other guys' feet, and his foot gets twisted up, and he rolls an ankle. Does anybody give a shit about that? No, because it happens in the game of basketball. It's a natural play. It's just that kind of stuff happens. Feet get tangled up.
The issue that I have with Pop's reaction, I don't mind that he's pissed that his guy went down. I would be too.
I don't either. I don't. It's fine.
It's the way that he portrays Zaza Pachulia. The way he goes back and says, "Go back and look at other games."
That he's a dirty player, basically.
And that's okay. Maybe those prior plays that he's talking about were dirty plays. That's fine. That's all well and good.
Play.
This is not the same thing. It's not like Pachulia goes up and smacks Kawhi Leonard in the face as he's trying to block the shot. He was trying to play defense. And it's I think it's embarrassing for Greg Popovich. I think he's saying things and he's reacting in a way. And here's the thing: at the same time, I understand he's pissed. It's right after the game. He's reactionary. He knows without Kawhi Leonard, his team doesn't have a shot. I don't think his team did have a shot with Kawhi Leonard, but that's beside the point. But I'll play a little bit more here.
Better, and we're up 23 points in the third quarter against Golden State, and Kawhi goes down. Like that. And you want to know if our chances are less, and you want to know how we feel, that's how we feel. Follow up?
Boy, easy room.
You expect the league to do anything?
You know those press conferences in Washington. I got one more question.
You expect the league to do anything?
I don't care what the league does. I'm just telling you how I feel. The league is the league. They do what they do. I could care less.
Did you express the same tone with Kiki? Have you called?
No, I didn't call the league. Why would I do that? They looked at the play. If they do something, they do something. If they don't, they don't. All I care about is Kawhi's not there. And, you know, having your horses is important at this point in the deal. And when you're playing Golden State in their place and you're playing like that, it's pretty cool. And if he would have played and they'd ended up winning, I go get dinner, have a glass of wine, wake up the next day, go to practice, and move on. But this is crap. And because he's got this history, it can't just be, oh, it was inadvertent. He didn't have intent. Who gives a damn about what his intent was? You ever hear of manslaughter?
Okay.
You still go to jail,
All right.
when you're texting and you end up killing somebody. But you might not have intended to do that. All I care is what I saw. All I care about is what happened. And the history there exacerbates the whole situation and makes me very, very angry. But I'm still open to follow-ups.
Okay, easy room. Okay, come on, Greg. Comparing the thing to manslaughter.
That was excessive.
Jesus
Bit
Christ.
of an overreach there, I think.
Jesus
I'd say.
Christ. Look, Pachulia committed a foul. He got called for a foul. That's it. I think Greg Popovich is a guy that I normally want to agree with. I think the Spurs are one of the most probably underrated dynasties of all time. Like they're just like the least talked about dynasty of all time.
Yeah.
And Greg Popovich is probably going to go down in history as the least talked about great coach of all time.
But didn't Kawhi even come out and say he feels that it wasn't like an egregious?
He said
play?
he doesn't think it was dirty.
He doesn't think it was intentional, and it wasn't intentional. It was Pachulia trying to get your team. Like Pop said, they were the Warriors were down 23 points. You got to get out and contest every shot you can. You got to take away that 3-point line.
Can I digress from this for a moment? It's still on the Spurs and on Kawhi, but just for a split second about this, because it just makes... I don't even want to make the statement how many teams missed on Kawhi, because he was taken 15th, so it's not like he was, it's not like he was a 52nd draft pick or something like that, where everybody had a chance to pick him twice and didn't do it. But look, he was a good player at San Diego State. I mean, he was a kind of a jack of all trades kind of guy, but not to the extent. I mean, it is amazing to me. You look at what you talk about, this underrated Spurs dynasty, right? And it really began. Yes, they had David Robinson, who was a very good player and a Hall of Famer. But it began.
Even he was the admiral and was a relatively quiet superstar.
Yeah, it began with Tim Duncan. Basically, that's when this dynasty began. Was when they got Tim Duncan. He was he was everything they needed, and everything fell in place around him. And then obviously you wind up with Tony Parker, you wind up with Manu Ginobili, and you have all these role players. And again, another testament to how good Popovich is as a coach, because a lot of these plug-and-play players on other teams would not have been anywhere near the kind of contributors they were in San Antonio if they had ended up somewhere else. But regardless, Kawhi Leonard, at least his trajectory right now, you look at, and it sounds insane to say because Tim Duncan is going to be a surefire Hall of Famer immediately as soon as he's eligible, which is, 5 years out of the league? I don't remember. 3, 4, 5, something like that. So that's usually the standard in most leagues. But Kawhi Leonard's trajectory right now, if he continues it and continues to excel, he's going to be the best Spur of all time. And that's insane because Tim Duncan's an incredible player. But Kawhi Leonard is doing things for him to have made himself into a legitimate MVP candidate. Now I know because of the seasons that Harden had and the season that Westbrook had, one of those guys probably going to win. I don't know which one, but regardless, whatever. Kawhi Leonard is a phenomenal basketball player. And in a weird way, I'm glad he's starting to get some recognition this year, but again, back to your point about them being an underrated dynasty, they're just an underrated team. And Kawhi, if he played in LA or he played in New York or he played in any bigger market, would be talked about every single fucking day.
No, but the thing that's
and he doesn't.
The similarity between Kawhi Leonard and Tim Duncan and David
They're
Robinson,
quiet.
just quiet guys,
super quiet.
They go out and they do their talking on the floor, and that's why I don't know how anybody. Because, okay, if a dynasty doesn't exist within your town, right? Like we all love the Red Wings dynasty, of course, right? Why? Because we're Detroit guys and they're a Detroit team and they're our team, so we love that dynasty. Everybody outside of Detroit hated the Red Wings.
They were calling us.
Yeah, that's
the
pretty
Yankees of
natural.
hockey.
Yeah.
Everybody outside New York hated the Yankees. Everybody outside of L.A. for that three-peat hated the Lakers. When they're your team, they're your team. But I look at the Spurs and I go, I don't even know how anybody outside of San Antonio can hate what they've done. Because they're quiet, they don't talk, they're from a small market, they've got a great coach. Like, they've got that humble attitude that you just don't get out of a dynastic team.
And the other key element to me, because you talk about some of the other ones, even our own Red Wings, and you talked about the Yankees and some of these other, and even the Lakers dynasties. A lot of these teams were built off of big stars that were acquired, right? The Wings had a few of their own, but then, especially you look at the 2002, which what it winds up now, was there 10 Hall of Famers on that roster?
Those first two cups, though, those were homegrown teams.
A lot of them, but the Spurs, up until the last, when you look at like the decades of the 2000s, pretty much, the Spurs, up until about 3 years ago, when they went out and got LaMarcus Aldridge, which was a big move for them because they weren't typically involved in those guys, and now they're piecemealing some older guys. I think the move to get Gasol was a great move for them. He's certainly not the Paul Gasol of 10 years ago, but he's still a very serviceable player, and he's very smart, and he knows the game really well.
You know what you don't see?
But they're not going out and spending the money to go and get these huge, gigantic free agents to try to win themselves champions. They're building from within, which I think is very admirable in today's sports.
Their name wasn't in the hat for LeBron James when he went to Miami. They don't
do it that way.
Dwayne Wade wasn't in the talks, even though Dwayne Wade would make sense for a team like that. When, like you said, when it comes to older guys at the end of their careers, because let's face it, that's where D Wade is at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Spurs are a team that I don't think, when they were winning early on with Tim Duncan, I don't think I appreciated enough.
Like 99, like that first year that they won.
Right, and that not only that, but also, they beat the Pistons in 2005, and that was a tough pill to swallow. But looking back on it now, 12 years removed from that, I got nothing but respect for that organization. I mean, when you look at overall, you look at the four majors. Can you find me an organization that you can say is definitively better than the San Antonio Spurs over the last 20 years? Definitively, without question, better. You throw the Red Wings in there. You throw the St. Louis Cardinals in there. Anybody else?
Cardinals don't have the same number of titles, though.
No, they do not.
I know baseball is tough, and
neither do the Red Wings.
The Wings have 4.
The Red Wings have 4. How many do the Spurs have? The Spurs have 5.
They have 5. Okay,
I believe the Spurs have 5. You got the Patriots.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I think that's it.
No, because the Lakers had their early 2000 run and then they faded. So
I'm talking consistently over the last 20 years.
No,
I'd say it's the Patriots and then the Spurs. When you're looking at the four majors, I think I can't find anybody else that's better than those two, and I think the Patriots obviously are better.
You might be right.
I can't think of another team. I think those are the two. I think that's it. I wouldn't even put any other organization in contention with them. Maybe the St. Louis Cardinals. Maybe. But if we're talking over a full 20 years, then the Cardinals aren't involved. Because the Cardinals weren't really important until 2006.
True.
If we're going 10 years, then we can put the Cardinals in the conversation. But we're talking 20 years, Patriots, Spurs. That's it. I can't think of another one. Certainly not in hockey. And not in baseball. Over a 20-year consistency. Those are it. And you get all the talk about the Patriots because they're in Boston, they're in a big market, and they're an NFL squad. And NFL is king. You got the little Spurs in little San Antonio, Texas.
Remember the Alamo, man.
They're going to be the forgotten dynasty. You just watch.
Well, clearly everybody forgot the Alamo, so
20 years from now, the Spurs aren't going to matter. This Spurs run isn't going to matter. It'll matter in Texas, but I really don't know if it'll matter nationwide. I don't know that people are going to talk about it because people will go back in history and they'll talk about the Celtics. They'll talk about Bill Russell's Celtics. They'll talk about the Showtime Lakers. They'll talk about Michael's Bulls. Like, those are teams that are never going to be forgotten, those dynasties. You could argue the Spurs are just as good. Did they win as many championships as Russell's Celtics? No. Not as many teams in the league. Not as much widespread dominance throughout the league when it comes to Russell's Celtics or even the Showtime Lakers or even Michael's Bulls. The talent is more widespread and the game is so much different. So no, the Spurs didn't win as many titles, but I think you could argue that they were just as good from a dynastic perspective. And that's what makes me upset about Pop's comments regarding the foul on Kawhi. Because I think Pop's better than that, ultimately. I really do. I'm gonna give him a break because I think he was pissed. And I think he's upset knowing that his team had very little chance to win this series, even with Kawhi Leonard. And now that his guy's gone, he knows he doesn't have a shot. So I'm going to cut him a break on this one, but I got to tell you, I didn't approve. And I don't agree with Greg Popovich. And a lot of the things that he said in that post game.
Fair. No, I agree with you. He's always a bit of a
curmudgeon.
Yeah, that's a good word. But yet it's almost likable though. Like his
normally I do.
This is likable.
Normally I do like it.
But yeah, I mean, for God's sakes, you're comparing it, regardless of whether it actually is dirty or not. You're comparing a basketball foul to manslaughter. I mean, come on, dude. It's like get a hold of yourself a little bit. It's a bit of an overreach.
It's not illegal.
There.
It's frowned upon, like masturbating on an airplane.
Yeah, it's a bit of an overreach there, Pop. I love you, but come on, dude. You can do, like you said, Dan, you can do better than that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why he's mad, but
nobody's going to blame him for being upset that his star player is conceivably out for the rest of this series / playoff, likely. But hold it together a little bit. You can be frustrated and show a little anger. And even if you don't like the play, fine. You can voice that you don't like the play, but rein it in a little. It's a little absurd.
Did I miss something before we wind this podcast down?
You ever heard that manslaughter thing? No, nobody's ever heard of that. Nobody has any idea what that is.
That's neglect.
Oh my God.
But Julia's foul was not neglect. Even if you just want to break it down to something as simple as that. Julia's was
absurd.
efforting to make a play. Somebody texting while they're driving isn't efforting to do anything except send a dick pic or whatever. Dave.
I only do that at stoplights.
All right, that's more of a Mike Tripp thing.
Well, Mike has a camera installed in his center console that he can operate remotely, so he can take a picture anytime.
Oh, for when his whores are riding the console?
But it's on either side. So one is for sending of himself, and then one is for his own enjoyment later. They don't know, but any girl that's involved with Mike Tripp doesn't really care when she find out that he was secretly taking photos of her cooch. She won't care.
They expect
She's
it.
all about it.
They expect it.
Yeah.
And then he gives him a key.
He knows.
He gives him his keys, and everything's good.
But you have to be one of the lucky few, because most of them just get like a fake key, like that, like those mailings you get where you win a car that you don't really win,
or
so
like
kind of
Derek Jeter's gift basket.
Although Derek Jeter may have actually given some women some real cars just as a giveaway.
Are there any? By the way, after Derek Jeter's number got retired, are there any numbers left in New York for anybody to wear? Or are they? I think they're just out of numbers.
Yeah, I think like 74 is still available.
They're gonna have to start using 3-digit numbers in New York. They've retired so many fucking numbers. They're
gonna having to start using the numbers that are retired, but with asterisks next to them. So it'll be like somebody will wear jersey number 61, but with an asterisk above it,
or number 3.
So it's not the real number. It has,
Yeah.
To it. Yeah. They'll start having to write the Chinese symbols for the numbers.
Here's the thing about them retiring Derek Jeter's number 2. Fully expected it.
Yeah.
Don't think he was one of the greatest players of all time.
No.
I don't. I think we went over this when he retired. I don't think Derek Jeter is nearly as good as he's portrayed. Is he a Hall of Famer? Yes, he is. 100%. No issue with Derek Jeter being a Hall of Famer. But he is almost looked at as if he is the greatest Yankee of all time. Now, does that have to do with the fact that... Does that have to do with the time frame? Does it have to do with the fact that nobody is still alive that got to see Babe Ruth play? Or maybe 10% of the people that got to see the home run kings of the 60s and 70s in New York play? Maybe. Maybe he is the best Yankee of this era. But I don't think he's one of the best Yankees of all time.
But that's also tough for us to say because we didn't see those other guys. So I won't make a judgment either way.
No, but those guys were gods. Babe Ruth was a god. Lou Gehrig was a god. Roger Maris is considered a god, even though he didn't.
I'm not even trying to. Here's the thing. I don't want to defend that.
And Mickey Mantle might have been the greatest player of all time if he hadn't been a fucking drunk. And
I
his
don't
knees
want to
hadn't fucking
defend
blown
that
out on
Jeter
him.
is the best Yankee of all time. I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying I agree with it. But what I will say is, I don't think I can make a statement to the contrary because everything you want to say about those guys that were about them being gods or however you just. The eras are different. You can't. You can't compare them. So,
No, but
I think there's a higher quality of pitching across the board now than there was when those guys played. There was some really, really good top-of-the-line pitchers that maybe for their day were actually better. The top-of-the-line guys then might actually be better than now. I don't even think that's necessarily debatable. But across the board, the amount of pitching and the amount of quality pitching that these guys face now, I think is far and above what guys faced in the 60s and 70s because there weren't 100 guys throwing 100 miles an hour.
But you have to consider even further back when they would use the same baseball for an entire game and the goddamn ball would be brown throwing into shadows. You can even see that ball coming. So maybe that ball was only moving 89, 90 miles per hour, but you couldn't see it because it wasn't white. So I would like to argue that it's pretty close to the same as facing a 95 to 101 mile an hour fastball when a ball that's coming at you is the same color as the dirt in front of you. Because you can't see it.
I don't know. This is a cyclical conversation.
It's semantics. I understand. It's fucking semantics. But I look at Jeter's numbers and I go, is he a Hall of Famer? Absolutely.
Clearly a Hall of Famer, and I have no issue with him retiring his number. I think it was. No, it's fine.
I don't have an issue with that either. But I do have an issue with the way he's viewed overall in Yankee lore.
Well, to that comment, I say, who fucking cares?
Well, I understand that.
not like I don't care what you have to say. Like I don't care about that argument.
You don't care about Yankee
lore? Doesn't make any difference to me. Yeah, he's deserving of the Hall of Fame that he'll eventually get, and he's deserving of his number retired in Yankee history.
I'm interested.
And whether you think he's the best Yankee of all time, I don't really care.
I am interested to see what the vote is, though,
for the Hall of Fame.
I'm interested to see what kind of percentage he gets. Because when that number comes out, I will compare it to some other guys.
It's going to be high.
Even recent guys that I know are better baseball players than Derek Jeter.
It's going to be real high.
I know.
You know this without a shadow of a doubt. You know that's going to be the case. It's going to be super high.
You think he'll get above 95%?
That'd be like a historic number. Who's gotten those numbers? And hardly anybody has gotten numbers like that.
What did Griffey get? Griffey got a high 90s number,
Griffey was pretty high, yeah.
And Griffey's a hell of a better baseball player than Derek Jeter. Yeah, not a lot of guys reach that height.
Griffey's career got so derailed by injuries. I mean, it would have been amazing to see how. I mean, not to say his career was bad because it was clearly still a very good career.
Mike, are you looking up Griffey's Hall of Fame percentage?
99.32.
Yeah,
that's really high.
Because it was the debate of whether or not. Because every once in a while that guy comes along where those baseball writers have to go. It's a tradition not to give anybody 100%, even though it's 100% certainty that they should get in. And that Griffey was another one of those guys.
And he deserved 100%.
It's probably that
can't
same.
do it.
It's probably that same Tampa writer that turned his ballot in earlier last year.
Can't do it.
Probably was like, I'm not going to be a part of this 100%.
It's tradition that we don't give anybody 100%
He
of the vote.
received 437 of 440 votes.
Yep, 3 guys.
Who are those 3 assholes that could not vote him in first ballot?
The same assholes that say we have to keep tradition and not give anybody 100% of the vote. If Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb didn't get 100% of the vote, why should Ken Griffey Jr. get 100% of the vote? I don't know. Maybe because it's 2016. It's these people that stick. It's these goddamn baseball writers that have to stick to these bullshit traditions.
Yep.
Fuck off. Anyway. Oh. Before we end the show. Barron Trump is enrolled in school.
I mean, for fuck's sake.
No, but this is actually sports related. President Trump's youngest son is heading to a new school just outside D.C., and sports will be a big part of his time there. Melania Trump confirmed reports Monday that Barron will attend St. Andrew's Episcopal in Maryland starting this fall. According to school officials, the first kid, is that really a thing? Was that always the title? First kid?
Apparently.
First daughter, first son? I don't ever remember hearing that before. I don't really give a shit. Anyway, first kid will have to join a sport in 2 out of 3 trimesters each year. Here are some of the options. You're going to love this. Fall trimester. Cross country. Equestrian. Golf. Soccer, tennis, and volleyball. Winter trimester, basketball, equestrian, again, indoor track, swimming, and wrestling. And the spring trimester, Dave? Baseball. What do you think the second sport is? You guessed it. Equestrian, again.
You said spring?
Yes.
I was going to say soccer, but...
Lacrosse, softball, tennis, and track. So for some reason, he's playing baseball and softball.
So he identifies...
Don't assume his gender, Dave.
As both male and female?
Oh, well, here's what I'm going to say. Barron Trump is gay. There's no doubt in my mind that Barron Trump is pre-gay. If he loves equestrian that much...
Wait, did you say pre-gay?
Yes, he's pre-gay.
Like he hasn't fully affirmed that he is, but he
gay.
is.
He's like Greg from Curb Your Enthusiasm. The little kid. He's too young to know that he's too young to know for sure that he's gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but anybody who insists on taking equestrian for all 3 trimesters, come on.
I just have an issue with this statement of pre-gay. There's no such thing as pre-gay. You either are gay or you're not. Just because you don't ultimately because you're not going to admit right away that you are does not make you not.
Ultimately, yes, he would be gay. However, when you're 10 years old, it's tough to know for sure whether you're
I
gay.
have an issue with
that's what makes you pre-gay.
I don't believe.
Don't argue with me about pre-gay. I've studied this.
It's not a thing.
It is a thing.
You look up pre-gay on the internet and tell me that it's a fucking thing.
If Larry David says it's a thing, it's a thing. Because I trust what Larry David has to say.
Larry David is a king of non-things. That is what Seinfeld was based on.
Non-things.
Non-things.
Non-things is not a thing too.
Exactly.
I'm gonna let Lewis Black explain equestrian to you right now.
Just please.
God, get out of here.
Anybody in this room can run a horse show. You'll be drunk for 3 days and vomiting at will. You can run a horse show. I know because I used to go to horse shows.
It's Barron Trump.
Not of my own volition. I had a girlfriend, and her sister was an equestrian. Equestrian, by the by, that's the gayest word in the English language.
See? Listen to Lewis Black.
As a matter of fact, I thought Brokeback Mountain should have been called To Equestrian. There is nothing worse than going to some event that you have no interest in. I didn't give a shit, but you got to pretend I mean, what do you say? It's a horse show. Look at the cock on that one.
That's why Barron Trump loves equestrian.
I'd say he's a winner if he doesn't trip over it. All you need to run a horse show is the ability to say, next.
See, Lewis knows. Equestrian's the gayest word in the English language. Barron Trump's 10 years old, hasn't identified his sexuality yet. Therefore, Barron Trump pre-gay. That's it.
That connection was not what he didn't. I don't even know what he just did just there, because what he just did was make a non-argument for his argument.
That
doesn't make any sense. What you just said doesn't make any sense.
Barron Trump pre-gay. I'm looking up pre-gay right now.
Pre-gay is not a thing.
It's a thing.
It's not a thing because you want it to be a thing. It's just not a thing.
You can be okay.
I understand the concept
Urban
of what you're
Dictionary,
saying.
pre-gay.
Okay, we're believing in Urban Dictionary now. We've gone to that level.
Let's see what the Urban Dictionary is.
For God's sakes.
The behavioral or physical state commonly seen in young adolescents prior to or during puberty, wherein their choice of sexual preference begins to lean or give future tendencies towards homosexuality. That sounds like a good definition for pre-gay.
It's a very fortunate find on the internet for you.
Because I got it.
No, you didn't. You used Urban Dictionary as an example. That's like turning in a research paper and having every single one of your what am I trying to say? Everything that your fuck. What is the word?
Do you want to see what pre-gay looks like?
It's a fucking word that I'm trying to think of. It's like reference. Thank you. It's like referencing Wikipedia for every single reference on a research paper.
Wikipedia is remarkably accurate. You want to see? Do you want to see the origination of pre-gay?
I've seen this. I know exactly what you're referring to. It doesn't change my thought on the argument.
This is Barron Trump. This is actual audio.
Is it?
Yes.
My name is Larry.
Hi.
A great pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you're very welcome.
So, what are you drawing?
Oh, I'm just doodling. That's a Hitler mustache. That's Hitler hair.
What's a Hitler?
Oh, Hitler was a bad man.
A bad man?
Very bad man.
Oh my God.
Yes, he started a war.
Oh.
He didn't really care for Jews. He thought they were a bit much.
I would kick his butt.
Would you?
Yes.
Good for you. What's that? What are you watching in there?
Project Runway. Good show.
And what do you like about it?
You're trying not to laugh.
It's like the best show ever.
You like fashion?
Yes, I do. Ooh, what's that right there?
Oh, that's called a swastika.
I like how the lines just go straight and then up and then down and then straight and then up and then down. It's beautiful. My birthday's coming up in a week, so can you get me one?
A swastika?
Yeah.
I don't know, Greg. I'll have to think about that.
They should start selling them in every gift shop in New York City.
Yeah, I don't think Jews would like that.
Get a life, Jews.
Yeah. Okay. Is your mom ready?
Okay, sweetie, Nana's waiting for you. She's gonna give you a bath, okay?
Okay. Taking care of her. Bye.
Thanks.
Pre-gay. Mike looks disturbed.
There's no such thing. That child is a homosexual, and there's not a problem with it. He just is a homosexual. I don't care that he, at this point in his life, is too young to truly understand the full meaning of that word and what it is, but he is homosexual. He's not pre-homosexual. That's like, it's just so fucking stupid. It's so stupid. That's like, but you know what? That's like calling a teenager a pre-adult.
Well, that they are. They're pre-adult. They're not quite an adult. They're on their way to becoming an adult. Barron Trump is not quite a homosexual. He's just on his way to becoming one.
It's not valid. It's not a valid argument.
If you don't know...
You can't be part way to gay.
if you don't know yet,
you can't be part. I don't care if you don't know. You are. You
Okay,
just
so
are.
but wait. So like, what if Barron Trump is sitting here? I can't believe we're having this discussion about Barron Trump. But what if Barron Trump is sitting here and what if he just doesn't know yet? Like, what if he's right on the fence between men and women, and ultimately decides on men? You would look back at this time and you would go, that was his pre-gay stage because he wasn't quite gay yet. Ultimately, all people fall on a Kinsey scale. We're all a little bit gay, every one of us. But how far on that Kinsey scale does...
Well, in that way, then you're saying everyone is pre-gay.
Sure. Why not? That's fine.
Also not valid.
I can go with that. I can go with that as long as that'll end the argument.
I mean, if you want to label everybody as experimental, that's fine because I'd believe that. But I don't believe in that terminology.
I have Dave very flustered.
I don't believe in that terminology at all.
We have to.
I just can't think of words.
We have to terminate this podcast. I love ending on that note. You've been listening to Out of Bounds Detroit Sports. David Faze, Mike Tripp, and myself, Dan Griffin. Be sure to go to sportsradiodetroit.com. Donate if you can. If not, please subscribe. You're already here. Don't be pre-gay. I didn't mean that to offend anybody who might be pre-gay. Anyway. Be sure to check out all the other fabulous content.
So sorry to all of you for this miscarriage of this misnomer of terminology.
This
not a thing.
This abortion of an episode.
Unbelievable. Abortion is a thing, by the way.
Yes,
so we're clear.
As is pre-gay.
Jesus.
Donate if you can. If not, please, you're already here. Please give us 1 star at this point after the way this show started and ended. Out of Bounds Detroit Sports, David Faze, Mike Tripp, myself, Dan Griffin. SportsRadioDetroit.com. Until Thursday, we are out of here.
Our chemistry by